Deny death and destruction from Finland.
Ladies and gentlemen, you really can't underscore enough the effect on cinema that the series John Wick has had. This original movie caught everyone by storm. And you know, I've got to say right off the bat that one of the main reasons was the willingness of star Keanu Reeves to go through actual training, hardcore training, to learn how to do all of these maneuvers, which help them look, utterly realistic. And therein lies the appeal, I think. Nonstop action that is, legit action. And they even put out scenes with Reeves practicing at the camp and everything. So the influence of those movies, believe me, people have noticed how much it's made in the box office, is starting to spread throughout movie land everywhere, not just the US. As a result, we end up with a movie that comes to us from Finland. And it is right down the same path that Keanu takes in the Wick franchise. Is it as good? Does it measure up? Cinematic class is about to begin. Your professor. Is it? Greetings, salutations, another sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and the purveyor of truth in movies. And, ladies and gentlemen, allow me one social commentary. If all of this violence would remain on the movie screen and not in the real world, boy, the world would be a much nicer place, isn't it? Go to the movies, see all the violence you want, and just be peaceful when you... Chicago would benefit greatly from this ideology, would it not? Yes. Okay, now, let's get back to the movie. Tonight's lesson plan is a film called Sisu. And I got to admit, I hadn't seen the trailer for this, and I already heard the buzz coming through the celluloid grapevine. I said, man, I better check this out. So I broke one of my cardinal rules, and I watched the trailer before I watched the movie. Normally, I don't like to do that. Okay, I like to go into a movie fresh. And once I saw the trailer, I could see immediately that this was, another in a series of movies that try to emulate and capture the essence of John Wick and that franchise. But I've got to tell you, folks, this one succeeds.
Get down on your knees.
Fuck him up! We got gold!
He was a Finnish commando. lost his home and his family in the war. He became a one-man death squad. He's one mean motherfucker that you do not want to mess with. Fire!
You'll see what happens when you take everything from him.
Do you really believe that he's immortal?
No, he just refuses to die.
How many mines did we bury here?
All of them.
You? And you?
This is not about who's the strongest. This is about not giving up. We have a word for that in Finland.
Sisu!
We might have a problem.
So I got to tell you, I did have an awful lot of fun with this movie. There are some points, some sequences, which stretch a little bit of the grounds of credulity, I have to admit. So in that aspect, it didn't matter how long the star actually trained to do these things. Some of them are just maybe edging toward the Hobbs and Shaw method of action rather than the John Wick. Boy, I hate to do this, but I'm probably going to butcher these names. They're Finnish, and I don't do well with those names at all. But this movie was written and directed by Jamal Helander. I hope I said that right for you. He's done a nice job on this. It's a very simplistic story, and he's directed it so that we have a hero who is, when we first meet him, very unlikely as a hero.
Now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me see if I can butcher some more names for you here. Our main star is Jormia Tomila, and he is our prospector. During the ending days of World War II, he has shrugged off all of the conflict. He lives in northern Finland, and he goes off by himself and he's prospecting for gold. Well, the movie opens up where we find he's gotten lucky and he finds a gold strike. Okay. Unfortunately for our prospector, the Germans happen to be trudging through Finland just at the time that he's trying to get into town with his sacks of gold. The Germans who are causing him grief and trying to steal his booty are Angsel Henny and Jack Doolan. Jack Doolan's interesting character in this. He's kind of a German sniper, really good with a rifle, and he's a lefty, so you don't see that too often. And he really causes our prospector some headaches. All told, the story is really basic. Our hero has to spring into action because there's gold involved. Bags and bags of gold. We're talking massive wealth. And when you stop and think about it, all of John Wick's problems happen because of a dog. Yeah, I'd rather fight for gold. Cinematographer for this movie was Shell Lagarus. Man, he does some nice work on this. A little help from the SFX guys. There's a scene, especially in the minefield, that pretty good special effects, and it's kind of brutal too. Our editor was Huno Virolainen, and I'm sure I butchered that. And he's done a good job. This movie is well-paced, 90 minutes, you're in, you're out, perfect length for a movie, and the action really, really, flies through this thing. This is a typical action movie, lots of action, very little dialogue, and it's an awful lot of fun to watch. I wonder if the nation's first and only prehistoric film critic also enjoy it. Let's do it now. Let's peel back the veils of time and check in with Rex Rear.
The Finnish prospector is bad ass. Good action and everything goes off. Bye. Kind of movie, especially after that damn asteroid.
So since I made the comparison between this and the John Wick movies, let's start off first. The first John Wick movie was excellent, and then they became progressively less so. Okay? That's typical for a franchise. This one really doesn't need a second or third chapter to it. That's not saying it won't have one. That'll all depend on box office returns. But in this outing, this was an awful lot of fun. There are going to be a couple of scenes where you sit back and go, yeah, okay, I'm not buying that. But there aren't a lot of those, so it's palatable, and you can kind of roll with the punches, if you will, on that one. I think you'll like this one. I know I had a lot of fun. And when it's done, you'll kind of shake your head and go, wow. Of all countries, Finland manages to pull this together and make a movie that will sit up nicely with the John Wick franchise. And now that you have learned what you have learned, Here endeth